Guys, 2017, oh my god. Wow, guys, wow. This year was crazy, both personally and in terms of gaming. Reflecting on the year for myself, I'd say I had a great year. Now, I realize I said that on the past 2 lists I did on the past 2 years, but I sugarcoated those. I really mean it this time. There were highs and lows, but damn if I didn't come out on top, and I've never been happier with myself as a person. I got that Yuri Lowell character development, ladies and gentlemen, and it feels good. And hey, I've finally been getting a groove with YouTube. Had a bit of a rough start, but I'm so satisfied with the content I've produced this year, and I'm not unsatisfied with a single video I've made. And I think that's huge for me. While I still struggled with consistency, I think it's gotten better and will be going great this upcoming year. That's enough stroking my ego though. Let's talk about games, because oh my god, this has got to be my favorite year I've experienced in my gaming career. So many new and interesting releases this year, with the PS4 especially getting a lot of love, and Nintendo dropping the Nintendo Switch at long last, even though I still don't have one, so there was a lot to keep up with, and I was doing good for a while, but I just couldn't stay with the motions anymore. It was amazing, and I got to play so many excellent games that released this year. Yeah, from making a list with no games released that year to only 2 to now over half the list, your boy's making progress, baby. Obviously, I'm excited to tell you all 10 of the best games I played this year, so let's go over the rules. 1. The games on this list don't have to have been released this year, I just had to play it for the first time. Of course, the majority will be releases in 2017, but I like to talk about other cool crap too, you know? 2. No remakes of games I played beforehand. That would feel like cheating to me, and I'd much rather go over my completely new experiences. And 3, only 1 per franchise as per usual, but spin-offs get a free pass. Alright, that's about it, and I'm excited, so let's stop with this long-ass intro and dive into the top 10 favorite games I played in 2017. I love Persona and I love Fire Emblem. And hey, wouldn't you look at that? Last year Fire Emblem had a crossover with Shin Megami Tensei, but let's be real, this is a crossover between Fire Emblem and Persona. I mean, Performa? Come on now. I missed out on it last year, but I eventually thought, why the hell not, and picked up Tokyo Mirage Sessions #FE. I can't defend that name no matter how hard I try, that shit's just dumb. And I know what you're seeing, I know what you're hearing. What the hell is this weeby shit? And why is this loser talking about it? Because, well, it's low-key my guilty pleasure of the year. I know, that's a lame excuse, but I still had a lot of fun with this. I wanted this game because both franchises are 2 of my favorites, but I honestly didn't expect to like it this much. There's a lot of anime fan service, and that's a bit of a turn-off for me, but I thought the story was a lot of cheesy fun, the characters were stupidly hard to dislike, the colors are so vibrant and pop out incredibly well for a Wii U game, and the music being centered around J-pop, no shit, is fucking catchy as hell. And the gameplay is pretty good as well. Like, combat is a lot of fast-paced fun akin to the Persona games, and using Fire Emblem characters as this game's mythos to cast powerful spells and level up honestly played a bit of a backseat, which was a little disappointing, but I really did enjoy my time with insert really cringy name here. Maybe it's a good thing I didn't get a Switch this year, because I would have missed out on a game I had a surprising amount of fun with. Maybe someday, my precious. Maybe someday. Rhythm games are very addicting in my case, I just don't play them as much. I don't know why that is, because there isn't one I played that I downright hate, it just never happens. But once I started to get addicted to Persona, I started to get more into the spin-offs. Persona's weird, guys. Case in point, Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Let's ignore the story mode because that doesn't exist, and if it did, it'd probably suck, so it's a good thing that this game doesn't have a story mode. For something that came out on the Vita, damn, this game be sexy. Dozens of colors, all vibrant and pleasing to look at. Frankly, it's quite distracting when I'm trying to play. All the character models look so detailed and look better than ever, and hot damn, Rise looks so good. Alright, I'll calm down. The dance choreography is fantastic as well, but above all else, that soundtrack makes me go through 3 pairs of pants per game session. I thought Persona 4 Golden had a great soundtrack, but this is off the charts. Bravo to all the people who remix songs in this game. It's one of my personal favorite Persona OSTs. Combine this all with a game that's so addicting to play until 4 AM in the morning, and you have yourself one of my favorite rhythm games. It's the kind of game that makes me want to get up and dance, only for me to lose my combo and fail at this fucking song for the 5th time in a row, but I just want to keep playing anyways because it's that good. And no, that totally never happened to me, in case you were wondering. Why would you think that?
Not clear.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me! God!
Brilliant!
All right, that was good. I'll keep it up next time.
A masterful grasp of rhythm. These are commendable results.
Guilty as charged, my favorite fighting game was a game I played this year. I suppose that speaks volumes as to how much I love Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator 2. It's really fucking good. With a story somewhat interesting and easy for me to get into, along with a very interesting cast of characters, you've got yourself a story that's a bit above average for a fighting game. You know, for as little as I care in a fighting game to begin with. When it comes to how the game looks, the game also breaks the mold here too, having cell shading that looks incredibly similar to 2D animation. It had me fooled the first time I played it, and I can't help but drool at how good this game looks from a technical standpoint and in terms of its art direction. Special shout out to the character designs, because they're ridiculously creative and make each cast member stand out that much more. Not to mention the tons of animations and bits of charm that make this presentation stand out that much more. I love all the battle intros and victory animations. They're the extra bit of content that you don't even need, but just appreciate that it's there. Put that alongside an absolutely rockin' soundtrack and you get not only one of my favorite looking fighting games, but one of my favorite presentations in the genre overall. And what a coincidence, it also has my favorite combat out of the genre. Smash Bros. Notwithstanding, everything's technical and requires you to get good in order to master the game's techniques. It encourages combos, but it also encourages the player to be smart in what they do, with every character playing different from one another, attacks that make for visual spectacles, and a lot of personality dripping from this game. It's no wonder that it still holds the crown for my favorite fighting game. It was the kind of fighting game I was looking for, and I was incredibly lucky looking for it at the time that I was, since it just got released this year. It was like a match made in heaven, and the more I play it, the more and more I realized that we were just meant to be.
Melia, win, straight.
Becoming the big Fire Emblem fan I am now, I immediately jumped on the hype train for Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valencia. There was just so much potential, and I was looking to a potential new favorite Fire Emblem game. I can certainly say it lands somewhere around that general area, and that's pretty damn good in my book. A big factor has to be due to the incredible story, as this has got to be one of the best narratives ever told in this franchise. Lots of twists and turns, a great amount of depth, and one of my favorite casts. Seriously, these guys are so damn lovable and get treated so well from a writing perspective. And whoa, look at that, our first Fire Emblem game that's completely voiced! Oh, shut the hell up. It's been a long time coming, but it was more than worth the wait. This has got to be some of the best voice acting I've ever heard in all of gaming. So much power and emotion, I could tell how every character was feeling at every given moment. Combine that with some of the best animations, subtle and modest character designs that the series should stick with, and a phenomenal soundtrack, and you have some of the best presentation in the franchise. Best not to talk about the CG cutscenes though, they look kind of crappy. Honestly though, gameplay is what keeps this consistently great game from being higher. It starts off great, if not a little weird, what with the game having no weapon triangle, the RNG being all out of whack, and numbers requiring player thought, which was a bit of an inconvenience. But then the difficulty spikes sharper than anyone asked for. I mean, good lord, these maps get unfair later down the line. I would be lying if I said it completely ruined my enjoyment of the game though, because despite my problems, I still find myself absolutely loving Shadows of Valencia and think it's one of the better games in the series. And hey, I could count on one finger the amount of times I lose myself in frustration. Can't say the same about fucking Fates. Despite my issues, Shadows of Valencia was one great time. Also Claire's best girl.
Address me as Lady Claire or Milady.
And it's immediately followed with my favorite game I played not released this year. On my previous year's list, I played and loved 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors as a visual novel that was incredibly smart with its writing and fucking my mind from all sorts of different angles. So this year, at the very tail end mind you, I got to play its sequel in the trilogy, Virtue's Last Reward. I honestly don't know why I waited so long, especially since I had bought the re-release of 999 and Virtue's Last Reward on PS4. You know, since it was released on my birthday and all. Anyways, it doesn't matter because as far as I'm concerned, this game's doing a great job to fill in the big shoes that its predecessor left. The story starts crazy and just gets crazier, and with this game having even more endings than the first one with a lot more decisions, it's a story with so many twists and turns that I was starting to get motion sick. And I haven't even gotten all the endings yet. Why is this game fucking my mind so much? The cast is also really good. I already love these guys much more than the first cast because to be honest, I felt they were only a bit above average. But this time around, there are so many more conflicting personalities, great banter, and you really don't know if you can trust anyone this time around, but I love it that way as things are much more interesting. My favorites would have to be Fi, Dio, Clover of course, but special shout out to Luna because she's voiced by the same voice actress who did Rise, so that automatically places her in the spot of best girl. Yes, that is objective. Moving on, the 3D models admittedly look really fucking dated, especially compared to the crisp 2D portraits of the first game, but I did love the voice acting, especially Luna because that voice makes me feel some type of way. Ooh. Sigma's got the right idea. And the music in this game is great, especially since 999's soundtrack grew on me over time. Of course, the game plays well enough, with set pieces and decisions all being great and the puzzles all leaving me perplexed in many different ways. Clearly, they haven't lost their touch at making you think in terms of the narrative and the gameplay, and that's just the way it should be. I'm looking forward to completing the game and I love it already. The Zero Escape trilogy has been fantastic so far and I can't wait to see just what the hell's going on. Spike Chunsoft never seems to disappoint and proves that you don't need to read when you've got video games. Don't quote me on that, please.
Hey! What are you staring at, you perv?
From one mindfuck to another, Danganronpa 2 blew my mind last year with its incredible storytelling and cast of memorable characters that kept dying one after the other. It tore me apart for sure. And this year we finally got Danganronpa V3, the next and possibly final installment in the franchise. At least I hope so, but I don't want to get into spoiler territory, so let's move on. This game has people split right down the middle, but in my eyes, what a great game this turned out to be. As the latest installment in the franchise that made me love a good mindfucking, this reached my expectations with flying colors. And those expectations were damn high after how Danganronpa 2 left me feeling. I believe that this has the most brilliant story in the franchise, enough for me to make an entire freaking video on it, so that must mean it's true. I am always right after all. It takes its time, the plot twists are that much more satisfying, pacing is so much better, and the characters get that much more love and attention. This is easily my favorite cast in the series as the personalities are so diverse and unique. It continues the tradition of making it so that every character could be a potential protagonist, and even more so in this game, which makes it that much more painful when the story decides to curb stomp me and kill all my beautiful children. This has got to be the most brutal game in the franchise, full of over-the-top and unfair deaths. I got emotional so many times, guys. By the time I finished chapter fucking 1, I needed to take a break for a day or two because my heart was ripped apart. And it doesn't slow down either because after one emotional moment, there's a mindfuck to follow. It's such a wild ride and I never wanted it to end. The feeling of solving all the mysteries, the suspense, the heartbreak. God, I love Danganronpa. Not to mention this game looks outstanding, not just for the series, but for visual novels. 3D models look ugly, not gonna lie, but the art direction, 2D portraits, color scheme, and visual effects are all top notch and made for one of the better looking games on the console. And I want to give high praise to the soundtrack as it's by far the best in the series and really solid. They helped give that extra punch to all the moments, especially in those dramatic class trials. And the game plays better than ever, fixing the dumbass tank controls in the hub world, giving more opportunities to bond with best girl Maki and all the other insignificant characters, and all the class trial minigames are satisfying and a hell of a lot of fun to play. Wrapped all together in a tight bow, this game gives me a really tough time deciding whether Danganronpa 2 or this is my favorite in the franchise. It's so hard to choose, but once I sit on them for a while, I'm sure the answer will come to me. Well, this and another series has given me a similar issue, but I'm sure we'll get to that later. Wink wink, nudge nudge. However that little conflict ends, the fact of the matter remains that V3 blew my mind to bits, and I loved every second of it. I battle against one of my favorite games of all time, and it's only number 5. Shit.
Tarzan?
I've always been interested, but have never played a single Platinum game until this year. They all seem great, but nothing too crazy that I'd want to run out and immediately throw all my money at one. Well, Bayonetta comes close, but still, nothing caught my attention nearly as much as Nier Automata. And wow, do I have to say that this game surpassed my every expectation. First off, a really detailed story in an action game like this? Never thought I'd see the day. Sure, give me mindless nonsense in an action game, it all comes down to the gameplay with this kind of genre. But I vastly prefer a story that makes me think, has depth, and is genuinely well told any day. And shout out to our leads, 2B and Nines, for driving the story along with great dialogue and banter. Also, 2B is, well, a pretty great lead. Oh, and she's pretty fucking hot. This is also one of the most beautiful games on the PS4 with clean as hell models, colors that are really pleasant on the eyes, and that soundtrack just, that soundtrack! I heard it was good, but fuck if I expected anything like this. Combined with the sweeping and dynamic camera angles that make a film guy like me just drool, this is a game that makes it into my personal top 5 for presentation. It's that good! And of course, being an action game, the combat is top notch and hard as balls. Just the way I like it. It's what I expect going into a game developed by a top-tier development studio and so much more. I was forced to learn my way around the system, and I love it when a game takes me out of my comfort zone to teach me something new. It's why games like The World Ends With You lands in my top 3, break the mold a bit. This game is so different than anything I've played, and that may be due to my lack of history with hack and slash games in the action genre, with a few exceptions, but that doesn't make my experience with this any less special. As the last game I didn't quite finish yet on this list, it certainly has the potential to be an all-time favorite, and I can confidently say it would have at least gotten one space higher if I did. It has a lot of elements from Kid Icarus Uprising and Sin and Punishment Star Successor, two of my favorite action games, so I think it's safe to say we're in good hands and things are looking damn Gucci from here on out. And did I mention that Tubi's totally—
What kind of girl doesn't want to look good sometimes? I'll let you know if I find anything else cute, okay?
I don't need to hear about—
Operator 60 out.
Alright, here we are with the Sonic entry. Two major games were released this year, Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces. But guess what? I only played one of them, and honestly, that's all I probably ever need. Sonic Mania, my goodness, it feels good to be back on top. Oh, well, it was fun while it lasted. Sonic Mania was a welcome return to the classic era. You know, the era that has most of my favorite titles in the series, Sonic 2, Sonic CD in some small cases, and especially Sonic 3 and Knuckles, what I thought would be my untouched favorite Sonic game. Well, not anymore, because Mania hits me in all the right spots and then some. Think of that as you will. With a simple plot of stop the bad guys, you're thrown right into the action, no questions asked, and that's just how I like it. And I'm still taken aback by how beautiful this game is. That sexy frame rate, being consistent the whole way through, expressive character models all across the board, a color palette that makes me drool uncontrollably, and that soundtrack, oh mama, that soundtrack. My reaction with a series that has fantastic music 99% of the time should be enough to warrant just how good it is, because my loving god. And the game controls just as I remember the classics. The momentum, the physics, the level design, weight, exploration, platforming, and speed. It's all here and accounted for, thus making these some of the best stages in the franchise that give Sonic 3 Knuckles a run for its money. And those boss fights, I mean, wow, so creative and fun. I didn't even realize that classic Sonic could have this many amazing boss fights. With both new and old stages, they're all a blast, and after playing through the game 5 times in the span of its first week that it came out, I still find myself coming back for more. It's the Sonic game of my dreams, and even topped Sonic 3 and Knuckles as my favorite, and that's been at the top of my list for years on end. I couldn't believe that it'd be topped myself. It's stuff like this that makes me proud to call myself a Sonic fan. I love this game so much, and hope for more from this creative team. Oh, Sonic, I knew you still had it in you. Hey, come on, can I have my moment, please? Thank you. God. Now, I'm not gonna lie, these top two manage to flip-flop every now and then because of how masterful they both are. These would have to be my top 2 contenders for the year without question, and I'm proud to have these two as my favorite video game franchises, especially with these last 2 releases. With that being said, I'm pretty sure a lot of you know where this is going, but let's set that aside for now and allow me to tell you why Tales of Berseria is one of the best fucking games in my favorite video game franchise. Tales of Berseria, just wow. I honestly never expected it to be this good, you guys. I said last year that I actually enjoyed Tales of Zestiria, but the more I let it sit, I honestly feel a lot weirder about it. I'd still say it's a great game on its own, but for series standards, we can do way better than this. So I was cautiously optimistic for Berseria, but was feeling a lot better after seeing just how well received it was. I got it, played it, and was hooked, because damn, this game just grabs you and never lets go. For starters, it has one of, if not my favorite plot in the series, being focused, deep, developed, and incredibly interesting to see play out, along with it having one of my favorite themes this series provides so consistently well. And of course, as per series fashion, the cast is so great and interesting. I love this band of misfits, with my favorites being Magilu, Laphicet, Eleanor, and especially the lead Velvet, who's become one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise. Then there's the fact that this game is gorgeous, running at the oh so sexy 60 FPS, animation's all looking better than ever before in the franchise, the voice acting is top notch, and the soundtrack was emotional, badass, or whatever the moment needed to be at the time. And gameplay is some of the best yet. Bosses were a bit on the weak side more times than not, but I love the combat as it encouraged risky play. Not to mention it made you feel like a total badass, and you were given a lot of options to do over the course of the adventure. There's a lot of stuff to do, different locations to visit, side scenes and extras that make the journey that much better, and over the course of my playthrough, I was just so into everything that this game was throwing at me. It reminded me that, hey, Tales of is awesome, and it's my favorite franchise for a reason. My favorite will never be topped due to personal personal reasons, but rest assured, this one comes damn close, and I loved every second with Berseria. It's a game that anyone could enjoy, even if they aren't a fan of the series, and I'm so glad to say that. It managed to give my number 1 a run for its money, so that's something, and even if it didn't quite reach that position, rest assured, I love Tales of Berseria.
Act like a dove. Cool.
Like you don't know what it is. Persona 4 Golden opened my eyes last year to how amazing the Persona franchise really is. And lucky me, the next installment was set to release this year, so I was ready to hop on that real quick. And no matter how much preparation I did mentally or how freaking high my expectations were after P4, I still wasn't ready for the amount of sheer quality that Persona 5 was gonna give me, because hot damn, this story is so dark and mature, and I loved seeing every scene play out. Not to say that Persona 4 Golden wasn't dark, it had its moments, but this game wasn't afraid to make gutsy moves and talk about themes and topics seen as rather taboo. Because of this, it had, in my opinion, the best narrative the series has seen yet. Not only that, but it was very smart, as it surprised me in ways I wasn't expecting. Like, it looked like it was going one direction when it was really going another, and I love that shit, man. And the cast just, what a great set of characters. They all have their struggles, have a hard time fitting in, and just seem so real. I do ultimately prefer P4's cast, but man, don't let that undersell these guys whom I love oh so much. Also, to set the record straight, Makoto is best girl. Thank you. That presentation also blows my mind the more I think about it. This game just drips and oozes with so much style. The menus, color schemes, background, little visual details all add up to make what's probably the best looking game I've played, both technically and especially from an art direction. Accompanying this is the fantastic voice acting, which made me squeal on a few occasions due to how good it is. Don't even get me started on the soundtrack. Having a heavy focus on jazz with bits of rock here and there, this shit was top notch and a reminder of how masterful the Persona soundtracks really are. I am proud to own the soundtracks for these games. They get me feeling some type of way. They even cleaned up a lot of the gameplay, which I didn't know I needed oh so bloody much. Life sim aspects are better than ever, as there's a lot to do, relationships to be had, some more than others, and it was incredibly enjoyable to explore the city and do all you could. Surprisingly though, I tended to lean on the dungeon exploration more, as these got a massive overhaul. Now dungeons have set layouts and set pieces, making them that much better. Combat's so quick and slick now, with everything you do looking so fucking awesome. It still requires strategy and cranks up the difficulty from P4, making it that much more satisfying to come out on top and enjoyable. Not even mentioning all the phenomenal bosses, the moments, the secrets, the chemistry between characters, and so much more. The experience is so good and I love it to death. That just begs the question of which game I prefer, Persona 4 Golden or Persona 5, and to be honest, I really don't know, guys. Either way, I loved this game and was waiting for it to be topped all throughout 2017, and it never happened, because through and through, Persona 5 is one of the best games I've ever played. As soon as I was done, I wanted to go back for more, and just I love this game. I implore you all to try this gem out. It leaves me at a loss for words, as you can clearly tell. And you never know, its quality may just leave you surprised.